One detail that I wanted to spend time making is the brake lights. So this is kind of a nice visual indication to when we are braking or trying to slow down the car. So there is few ways to do this, but since I'm using the car from the Epic's template, they already kind of have that inside their material. But one way to do this would be to have kind of a separate material for the lights and then use the emissive node. So let me actually open the car so we can see what I'm talking about. So one way would be to have a separate material for the light, and then use the emissive color, and then boost any color, and it will be basically glow and create bloom. And that's kind of what we're doing, but since they already have everything set up in here, we can see in here that they have the mask. So they have the material for the whole chassis, and then they are using masks to kind of say which light we need to trigger or want to trigger. And they have this brake light color that is a parameter, meaning that it is exposed. So we can basically edit it later. So yeah, that's kind of one way to have a separate material. This is another. And that's kind of it. You usually have to do this in materials. So that's kind of one way. The another way that I wanted to do this, but then I realized they already have this solution, is to create my own mask and then to add color to that and basically do similar thing to what they did. But since they have already even more complicated solution to what I would use, I decided to just use their stuff. And now they have this brake light power also, but I did not want to use that because we can also modify the color if you want. Since we don't want to just kind of boost whatever it is there. Maybe for some we want, but yeah. You could use both. You can use this or this. And to achieve this effect, we need a few things. First, what I did is, in our input handbrake, I created a separate variable for when the handbrake is working and it's not working. So we can kind of have a variable that will later drive the light. Now to check this, we can put it in event tick, but another thing that we can do is just put it in one of the inputs, in the input axis specifically, because they trigger on everything. They're basically kind of a tick. So we can use them to check if the light needs to be turned on or off. And the first trigger that we're using, actually before we go into this, I set up in the construction script a little thing where we take the mesh, we create dynamic material instance. So this creates material instance that can be modified, and we need element index 0 since our let's see where it is. Since our traces material is in the element 0, so this is kind of the material that we have open in here that has the brake lights. And so yeah, we need element index 0, we need the traces material, and then that's about it here. Then I set it as a new variable, so we have this traces material, and then I'm gonna use this to kind of modify, since we have, this is a reference to our dynamic material that we can then modify. So yeah, we have our brake. Then in here we are checking if it's above 1. So this brake goes from 0 to 1. 1 means we are braking and 0 means we are not braking. So we are checking that, and then we are checking if we are handbraking. And we don't really care which one of these we have activated. That's why we are using this OR logic node. So whichever, if the first one is enabled or the second one, we don't care. We just want it to turn on. And then if it's true, the light is turned on. So what we do is get our traces, reference to the traces material, and then we can just do set vector parameter. And of course you can set scalar parameter, stuff like that, but I decided to go vector with this. And then you need the name of the parameter that you want to change. So I just went in here, clicked here, copy this, and set it in here. And then you need value. For this I just pull it from there and then make the color, and I set it to 20. So if you set it to 1, that will just be pure red. Anything above means that you want it to kind of glow, to emit light. So I set it to 20, and then I copied their original color, which is 0.46 something. And this is about it. I don't think I did anything else in here. So now if we click play, we can test out our lights. So if we go forward, left, right, everything is fine. But if we try to brake, we get this light. And of course, if you try to handbrake, so I'm gonna take a bit of speed, click space, and we get the lights. So that's kind of it for the brake lights. But one thing is that this is not the most optimal solution since it's set on everything. So something that we could do in here is something like maybe do once. So we might do something like this where we do this thing once, and then when this thing is activated, it resets it so you can do it again. Something like that, where we don't want to activate this 30, 60, 90 times a second because it will probably be already activated or already deactivated. We just want it to happen once and then not waste the resources to go to this material, then do the parameter change. But for kind of the simple testing purposes, this is completely fine.